The storm outside battered the reinforced glass of Jae-sung's high-rise sanctuary as he contemplated the amber liquid in his crystal tumbler. At merely 30 winters, the Korean businessman had constructed an empire that made powerful adversaries lose sleep at night. His fingers were stained with the consequences of ruling the underground networks that pulsed beneath the city's gleaming surface, yet tonight an unfamiliar restlessness gnawed at something deep within him. A void that success and dominion couldn't fill. "The household staff you requested has been hired," Min-ho announced from the study threshold, his senior advisor's voice cutting through the silence. Jae-sung remained motionless, his gaze fixed on the rain streaking down the window. "I appointed you to handle personnel matters. Why interrupt my evening?" His tone carried the weight of someone accustomed to absolute authority. Min-ho cleared his throat cautiously. "This recruit stands apart from our typical employees. I felt you should be informed." Jae-sung finally turned, one eyebrow raised in question. "Different in what manner?" "She's Nigerian, sir. 23 years of age. Her name is Nia." Min-ho proceeded with measured precision. "Her references are impeccable. The agency guarantees her discretion, professionalism, and, shall we say, her willingness to maintain silence regarding household operations." A faint smile played across Jae-sung's lips. In his world, discretion held more value than precious metals. "Very well. Have her begin tomorrow morning. Ensure she comprehends the protocol. Efficiency, silence, observation void of commentary." "Actually, sir, she commenced duties this evening. Mrs. Han requested her assistance with the guest quarters in preparation for tomorrow's gathering with the Sokcho syndicate." Jae-sung waved a dismissive hand. "Let her proceed then. I have no inclination to meet every domestic worker who enters my residence. But destiny rarely consults one's preferences." Some 20 minutes later, Jae-sung ventured toward his private chambers to retrieve documents. His movements were fluid and silent, honed through decades of necessary caution. As he approached his bedroom entrance, a melodic humming reached his ears. His reflexes activated instantly, hand gravitating toward the concealed weapon at his side. His sanctuary, his most private space, should be empty. He thrust the door open, fully prepared for confrontation, yet what greeted him froze all motion. A woman balanced on a modest stepladder, her slender arms extended upward as she attended to his bookshelf. She wore the standard domestic uniform, an understated black dress with crisp white collar and cuffs, yet the garment seemed to transform on her frame into something far from ordinary. The fabric skimmed gracefully along an athletic form, curves accentuated by the angle of her stretch. Her complexion gleamed like burnished mahogany beneath the warm lamplight, utterly flawless and radiant. Natural hair crowns her head, secured in an elegant updo that exposed the graceful length of her neck. When she extended further to reach the highest shelf, the hem of her dress rose, revealing sculpted calves and the defined musculature of someone who possessed more than decorative beauty. Her body swayed gently in rhythm with whatever tune occupied her thoughts, each movement fluid and unconscious. Jae-sung's breath seized in his lungs. In 3 decades of existence, surrounded by celebrated beauties, models, entertainers, sophisticated women who had thrown themselves at his feet, he had never encountered this instantaneous, all-consuming need. It coursed through his veins like wildfire, incinerating logic and strategy. The woman rotated slightly, and he glimpsed her profile. Full lips curved in a smile, cheekbones that caught light like sculpture, skin that appeared impossibly smooth. When she descended the ladder and bent to reposition it, the fabric stretched taut across her posterior, and something shattered within him. "Explain your presence in my private quarters." His voice emerged low and dangerous, fractured by the intensity of his feelings. Nia spun around with a startled gasp, nearly toppling from the ladder. Her eyes dilated with shock as she scrambled downward, gathering her supplies with trembling fingers. "Oh goodness, I apologize profusely, sir. Mrs. Han assigned me to clean the bedrooms along this corridor." I didn't comprehend this was your personal space. I'll withdraw immediately. She continued backing toward the exit, clutching her cleaning caddy as though it offered protection. Yet at this proximity, Nia proved even more captivating. Her eyes possessed a striking depth and expressiveness, currently reflecting alarm and embarrassment. She maintained respectful downward focus, which only intensified Jae-sung's desire to tilt her chin upward and command her gaze. Your designation? He inquired, though Min-ho had already provided this information. Nia Okafor, sir. Commenced employment today. I'm genuinely sorry for the transgression. It won't repeat. Her accent carried American inflection, tinged with evident nervousness. She persisted in her retreat toward the doorway. Halt! Jae-sung commanded, and her movement ceased instantaneously. He approached with deliberate pacing, each stride a predator's calculation. Your age, Nia? 23, sir. Doesn't employment within such an establishment concern you? He moved incrementally closer. Her gaze flickered upward briefly before retreating once more. The financial compensation addresses significant necessity, sir. I was assured that discretion constitutes fundamental employment criteria. Domestic observations remain entirely my concern. Intellectually astute and visually remarkable. A precarious combination. Jae-sung positioned himself approximately 12 inches distant, and suddenly her perfume enveloped him, something warm and exotic like jasmine layered with coconut. His fingers yearned to trace the delicate architecture of her jawline, to verify whether her skin possessed the softness it promised through mere observation. Direct your attention toward me, he murmured. Nia's eyes rose gradually, and when their gazes intersected, electrical energy discharged through his entire being. Those irises gleamed with multitudes of emotion. Fear predominated, yet something additional occupied that expressive landscape. Recognition. Reciprocation. She experienced this identical magnetic pull consuming him. Comprehend my identity? He inquired softly. You're Jae-sung, sir. The proprietor of this mansion. I am considerably more. He leaned slightly forward, monitoring how her pupils expanded. I am the individual who orchestrates this municipality from concealment. I am the person crowds part for as I traverse the streets. I am the man who seizes what he desires precisely when desire strikes. Nia's respirations accelerated dramatically, her chest ascending and descending in rapid succession. I understand, sir. Do you? His voice descended to barely above a whisper. Because currently, Nia, I require you. Your physical form consumes my consciousness entirely. Every curve, every acre of your melanated skin ignites something primal within my psyche. Nia's cleaning caddy tumbled from her grasp, its contents scattering across the polished floor. Mr. Jae-sung, I cannot. This situation is inappropriate. I merely commenced. Protocol proves irrelevant. His fingertips made contact with her forearm, and that minimal connection reverberated through them both. I have encountered nothing as captivating as my current craving for you. This represents transgression, she whispered, though her form involuntarily migrated toward him. I occupy a subordinate position. You maintain authority over. Social hierarchies dissolve within my domain, Nia. I establish the regulations. Before she could formulate additional protest, his cellular device emitted an urgent vibration. Jae-sung released a low growl of frustration, retrieving it from his pocket. The message originated from Min-ho. Catastrophe. Associates targeted for elimination. Park's network decimated. Conflict imminent. Jae-sung's demeanor transformed instantaneously, becoming glacial and controlled. He observed Nia's countenance, which simultaneously displayed relief and profound disappointment. You are dismissed to your quarters, he commanded. His tone now chilled and authoritative. The dangerous aspect of his nature had reasserted dominance. Yet as she pivoted toward the exit, his fingers grasped her wrist. This conversation remains unfinished, Nia. Eventually, inevitably, you will share my bed. This represents certainty, not inquiry. Nia's legs barely sustained her weight as she traversed the corridor at accelerated pace. She collapsed against the entrance to the servants' quarters on the secondary floor, her pulse thundering in her ears. Her arm continued burning where his fingers had made contact, as though he'd imprinted his ownership upon her skin with that solitary touch. What transpired? She gasped to her reflection in the small mirror. Her cheeks flushed crimson, her pupils dilated, her mouth slightly parted. She resembled a woman thoroughly seduced by minimal physical contact. Maintain composure, Nia, she instructed her reflection, applying cold water from the wash basin to her overheated face. Recall Adeyemi. Remember your purpose. Her younger brother's image crystallized in her consciousness. 20 years of age, perpetually careless, presently held captive by criminal elements as financial collateral. The Crimson Brotherhood had presented a singular ultimatum: infiltrate Jae-sung's household, retrieve intelligence regarding his weapons procurement networks, or Adeyemi would forfeit his existence. They had orchestrated everything with meticulous precision: fabricated credentials, fabricated agency recommendations, even Mrs. Han's conveniently timed staffing requirement. Yet nothing had prepared her for Jae-sung himself. She possessed photographs, certainly, recognized his physical appeal in that cold, dangerous manner. Yet images had failed to capture his actual magnetism, the way his stare seemed to pierce directly into her essence, the commanding presence that simultaneously repelled and attracted. And when he'd articulated those words, "Eventually, inevitably, you will share my bed," her physical form had betrayed her psychological resistance. Heat had pooled deep within. Her extremities had tingled with sensation. For one unguarded moment, she had nearly surrendered. An authoritative knock interrupted her spiraling thoughts. "Miss Nia." Mrs. Han's voice penetrated the barrier. "Mr. Jae-sung summons your presence in his study immediately." Nia's cardiac function stuttered. Had he unmasked her deception? Did this represent a trap? She pressed her palm against the diminutive device concealed within her undergarments, her singular connection to the Brotherhood, and supplicated to forces she no longer believed in. The study entrance stood open. Jae-sung occupied his position before the expansive window, mobile device pressed to his ear, delivering rapid Korean instructions with contained ferocity. His anger was palpable, his authority absolute. Even consumed by murderous fury, he exuded magnificent dominance, towering, expansive-shouldered, radiating unyielding authority. He terminated the communication and rotated to face her, his expression deliberately neutral. "Secure the entrance," he commanded. Nia's trembling digits fumbled with the heavy wooden door. "Relinquish your apron." "Pardon me." Confusion momentarily superseded her anxiety. "Your protective garment. Remove it presently." Nia's fingers struggled with the fasteners while her consciousness fragmented with uncertainty. Was he genuinely pursuing this at this moment? Her apron descended to the floor. Jae-sung approached with calculated deliberation, embodying predatory grace. "Do you comprehend my situation, Nia?" "No, sir. An adversary plots my destruction. Personnel infiltrated my organization, assassinating 5 trusted associates tonight. Treason within my ranks necessitates comprehensive elimination." Nia's cardiac function ceased momentarily. Had he discovered her infiltration? Yet at this precise moment, Jae-sung persisted, extending one digit to traverse the contour of her jawline. "You represent my singular preoccupation when strategic warfare demands my attention. You constitute an unaffordable distraction." "Then release me from employment," she offered breathlessly. "I shall withdraw immediately." "Negative." His palm relocated to her throat, his thumb establishing gentle but possessive pressure against her racing pulse. "You miscomprehend my psychology. I don't relinquish acquisitions that belong to me." You, Nia, became my property upon your initial entrance into this residence. He drew her inexorably closer, his alternate hand ascending her spinal column, pressing her torso against his. Nia gasped at the contact, perceiving every muscular plane of his physique against her curves. I perceive your accelerated pulse, he murmured against her auditory canal. Trepidation courses through you, and justifiably. Nevertheless, you simultaneously experience attraction. Deny it if you possess the capacity. This represents insanity, Nia protested weakly, despite her hands ascending to rest against his chest. She could detect his cardiac rhythm matching her own accelerated tempo. You maintain complete ignorance regarding my character. Sufficient knowledge exists within me. His lips traversed across her neck, and Nia emitted an involuntary sound of need that she couldn't suppress. I'm acquainted with how your dermis registers beneath my contact. I'm cognizant of your physical trembling. I understand your desire mirrors my own. His voice descended to an intimate whisper. Cease, Nia implored, though ambiguity clouded whether she begged for cessation or continuation. Jae-sung withdrew marginally, permitting her to comprehend the blaze of appetite saturating his gaze. I'm presenting you with singular selection, Nia. You may traverse that threshold, accumulate your possessions, and vacate my residence indefinitely. Alternatively, you may acknowledge what will inevitably transpire between us. What exactly will transpire? She questioned with minimal breath. I will cultivate comprehensive ownership. Your corporeal form, your temporal existence, your psychological landscape, all shall belong exclusively to me. Subsequently, I will furnish you every conceivable treasure. Safeguarding, gratification, monetary abundance exceeding your most extravagant fantasies. Nia's consciousness shrieked directives to escape while opportunity persisted. Yet Adeyemi's visage materialized within her awareness. She required sustained proximity to Jae-sung, required his confidence, required that intelligence. I will remain, she heard her own voice articulate. Jae-sung's features transformed, triumph and ravenous appetite dominating his expression. Express your commitment with appropriate vocabulary. I will remain with you. Incorrect. His fingers secured her chin with gentle insistence, establishing mandatory eye contact. Articulate the following. I am entirely yours. Nia's pharynx constricted. Those syllables resembled a binding incantation, as though she was surrendering her autonomy. Yet what alternatives presented themselves? I am entirely yours, she whispered with resignation. His restraint fragmented instantly. Jae-sung's mouth descended upon hers with ravenous intensity that obliterated her capacity for respiration. His hands roamed across her form with possessive aggression. Nia reciprocated the kissing motion helplessly, her physical form rebelling against her intellectual cognition. He tasted of expensive spirits and peril and something uniquely Jae-sung that destabilized her equilibrium. He elevated her with deceptive ease, positioning her upon his workspace's edge, inserting himself between her thighs. His palms ascended beneath her garment, fabric elevating, and Nia comprehended she approached the threshold of irrevocable transformation. The study entrance abruptly exploded inward. Supervisor, emergency situation. Minho rushed through, then stilled completely. His irises magnified at the tableau confronting him. Jae-sung maintained his positioning proximate to Nia without retreating or expressing mortification. He merely pivoted his skull, his appendage remaining possessively positioned against her lower extremity. This represents existential threat, Minho. Articulate with haste. Minho's phonation emerged taut. The Brotherhood transmitted ultimatum. They possess internal operative, mole implanted. Weapons inventory surrender by midnight remains demand, otherwise their asset activates and orchestrates systematic demolition from interior. Jae-sung's physical structure rigidified entirely. His manipulation upon Nia's lower body intensified, approaching uncomfortable intensity. An operative. Within his residence. Recent arrival. His cranium rotated with deliberate slowness toward Nia. The realization emerged like glacial descent across his features. Desire metamorphosed into lethal, calculated retribution within his stare. "Nia!" he articulated with dangerous softness. Nia's portable communication apparatus, still hidden within her undergarment, emitted a vibratory signal. Within the profound silence dominating the chamber, that vibration reverberated like percussion discharge. Jae-sung's appendage relocated with supernatural velocity, extracting the device from within her garment. His gaze descended toward the display screen, his mandible tensing whilst he processed the Brotherhood's transmission. Procurement status? Adeyemi's remaining lifespan diminishes. When Jae-sung's attention reconcentrated upon Nia's countenance, his irises reflected exclusively cold, methodical annihilation. Nothing remained of the seduction or the hunger. Exclusively calculated homicide occupied that gaze. "Regrettably disappointing," he articulated with lethal quietude, his hand gravitating toward the firearm positioned at his flank. The atmosphere suspended, pregnant with impending violence. If you savored this narrative of betrayal, desire, and forbidden connection, kindly press that subscribe button and activate notification settings so you'll capture every subsequent installment of Nia and Jae-sung's explosive saga. Like this content if the tension captivated you, and comment your theories regarding how this catastrophic revelation will conclude. Share this with fellow enthusiasts of dark romance and international storytelling. Turn on notifications now. Part 2 promises devastation.